Hello and welcome to Rotted Reviews, and today I want to talk about the 1989 Christopher Walken horror movie, Communion. I recently had my 1,000 subscriber Q&A live stream celebration, and in there I got one of the questions was, how do you feel about alien horror? More specifically, the kind of alien abduction horror stories out there. And I had to be perfectly honest, I really don't have a whole lot of opinions on it. It's just not something that's ever really captured my heart or my soul, and it's nothing that I've ever really dove or dive or past tense of verb dive. It's nothing that I've ever divined into. So I really didn't have a whole lot of real meat to my answer on that one. But one thing that I love about this channel and doing these videos is how much it has taught me over the last 2+ years. Just making these and exposing myself to new things that I ordinarily wouldn't hit my radar, kind of force myself into it. Well, time to learn. And in that, Emma, Spooky Astronauts, chimed in and in the chat said, Mike, what about Communion? I hadn't even heard of it before. So I decided to go ahead and make that the first one I jumped right into. Decided to go ahead and give this whole alien abduction thing a good old go. And what I found about this movie is I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely. But I'd be lying if I said that it scared me in the slightest. I enjoyed it on a dramatic and, yes, even on a horror level, but nothing that really shook me to my core or rattled my nightmares or anything like that. Now, this movie was directed by Philippe Mora, and it was written by Whitney Strieber, who wrote the screenplay and the book. And Christopher Walken plays Whitney Strieber. I basically wrote the book about himself and what he claims to be his experiences were. And what experiences are those? Well, Whitney's a man with a wife and a child, and they live in the big city, but they also have a remote cabin that they visit on vacations, Christmas time, things like that. And when they spend it one night, strange things happen in the middle of the night. Aliens come by and take Whitney away, leaving only fragments of memories that are kind of come up more as dreams and vague emotions more than anything else.
Was there an owl in here last night?
An owl?
I thought I saw an owl.
Where?
I come in the window.
But it was enough to have a residual effect on the mood and the psyche of the characters, so that they were investigating basically what was going on. Whitney especially was trying to find out if he was going insane. He's a writer and he was having difficulties in the first place, but then all this shit starts happening around him. These weird moods, these weird feelings, these weird emotions start cropping up. They cause fragmentations within the family and tension within the dynamic there. So yeah, visit psychologists and try to get to the core of what's actually going on here. And this is the level in which I appreciate the movie the most. The fact that Christopher Walken really brought a lot of himself to this. This is Christopher Walken at one of his most dialed up performances I've seen.
Get up! I'm cooking. I'm on a roll. What's the matter with you? Boo! Wow!
Quickly!
No, I had you.
Got you.
I had such a terrible day. First, the computer turns off. Then the wolf painting jumps off the wall. The duck I'm cooking tries to tell me how to live my life. The computer completely erased itself when it turned off. No wonder that I can't write my great American novel.
And he does an amazing job portraying Whitney, not just as things are going down, but also preceding that, just as a very colorful, vibrant, enthusiastic character. And that wound up having a character that I frankly was really attached to. And when things started really happening, I was invested in his character and his storyline. There was a whole lot of this that was very well written, especially considering how, well, let's just say far-fetched some of the events and the effects tended to get. Throughout the movie, I was really kind of having in my mind one big complaint, and that was creature design. There were two principal types of aliens that were occurring within these situations, and one especially was laughably bad. However, this movie got the better of me on that one because without giving any kind of spoilers and keeping the language as absolutely general as possible, the plot accommodated it, and I wound up in a position that when the credits rolled, I was like, well, That complaint's out the window. So this really did have a good way of capturing my attention and keeping me glued to the screen while the characters were undergoing the trials that they were. And I think that that was owed in very large part to the sharpness of the dialogue as it was written and the performances of the principal actors as they delivered them. That, for me, more than anything else, is what really brought me into the movie. All right, so now, okay, as far as not being scared by it, I don't really consider being scared by a horror movie to be one of the major, I don't consider it to be a critical must-have element. There's a whole lot of different horror, and some of it's funny, some of it's thoughtful, some of it just really gets us by the heartstrings with its subtext. It doesn't necessarily have to be scary, it just kind of has to take that horror turn. And I do say that this movie does do that. This is not just sci-fi, this is horrific elements that are happening on screen with terrified characters and what they're going through. It's just that for me, the whole idea of alien abduction really just doesn't resonate that much. And I may get some flack for this, and I don't mean to trot on anybody else's opinions or anybody else's experiences, but just me personally.
The extraordinary claims are not supported by extraordinary evidence.
It enters into a realm of when now we're dealing with math and we're dealing with science. When we're talking about ghosts or poltergeist or anything along those lines, it's vague enough, it's spiritual enough, it's something that can't be measured despite how many times Ghost Adventures tries, that, in my opinion, puts it in this ethereal vagueness that is frightening. The more we know about something, the less frightening it is, just inherently. And when we're talking about alien abductions, we're also talking about just the practical level of the scientific facts that would have to be in place for that to happen. I have no doubt, in my opinion, in my belief system, that there is life on other planets. Whether or not it's intelligent, it remains to be seen. Whether or not it's intelligent and close enough that it could make the journey within, say, 60 million years to our planet, it's a little more remains to be seen. Whether or not they would actually make that 60 million mile trip and be here at the exact moment in which our civilization is getting on its feet, that's a little rough. And then whether all those things would happen just so they can come, warp one of us up into their ships and shove shit up our ass, I don't really buy it. I'm sorry. It's just a little bit much for me. It's just stretching the belief system way too far. And that's just my personal, belief on it. But while I have those beliefs and I watch a movie about alien abduction, I can appreciate it for the dramatic, artistic inference of what the characters are going through and the tensions and the conflicts that are surrounding their family dynamic. But as far as being scared by little green men coming up and shoving shit up our asses, well, let's just say that I'm 40 years old and those little green men don't scare me nearly as much as my general practitioner.
Moon River.
And with that being said, let's just go ahead and take the final moments here to throw up the scores. As always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. And I did thoroughly enjoy this movie. I thought that it hit all the right notes, the writing was excellent, the characters were dynamic, and it really did achieve a lot of what it set out to do, except for the fear thing, but I'm not really faulting the movie for that. That's simply butting heads with my belief system. So that's totally me on that one. I'm not even going to consider the whole fear quotient a portion of this as far as the intent score goes. And so with that being said and everything being tallied, I would absolutely recommend the 1989 movie Communion. Thank you to Spooky Astronauts for suggesting this one, and thank you for watching this video. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.